So depending on when you're watching this, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Hopefully it's not good night because you guys should be sleeping if it's good night. But let's get straight into this video. So this is a solutions video for Selective Prep Mathematics, test number 41. Okay, so a quick overview before we start again. So we'll be looking at quite a few angles, particularly on clocks, and I think we've taken a look at this before, but I've never really gotten to explaining it. So we have 12 intervals on a clock that are all 5 minutes each. Some clocks have even smaller intervals to show the minutes in between them, some don't. So although a clock isn't always a circle, it's always got a center. Okay, so I'm trying my best to show it here. It's not that big, but it's got a center, and when you revolve around a center or any given point, okay, one full revolution is 360 degrees, which means that if we have 12 intervals, each interval should be 360 degrees divided by 12, which is 30 degrees. Now, if the clock has minute intervals as well, then it's going to be 30 degrees divided by 5, because there's 5 minutes in each interval, meaning that each minute is 6 degrees. Okay, now moving on, when we're converting percentages, decimals, fractions to one or the other, remember for decimals will always be like 0 point something something something. Okay, a percentage will always or usually be above, will be a whole number. Okay, it won't be a decimal, so it'll be, let's say, like 53% or 90%, 100%. So decimals go from 0 all the way to 1. Percentages go from 0 to 100, and fractions also go from 0 to 1. So when we're converting between decimals and percentages, we just need to either divide by 100 or multiply by 100. So if we're going from decimals to percentages, times 100. If we're going from percentages to decimals, divide by 100. Okay? Now, if we're going from decimals to fractions, or from percentages to fractions, or fractions to percentages, we kind of want to use decimals as our middle step. Okay, so when converting from percentages to fractions, always convert to a decimal first or mentally, and then write it out. Okay, write it out as if, so write out what you're thinking in its exact form. So if you're converting a percentage to a decimal, it's going to be 90% is going to be 90 divided by 100. So the fraction, okay, if the percentage equals 90%, the decimal is going to be 0.9 or 990 divided by 100. And so our fraction, if we wrote it out exactly with the sign as well, our fraction would be 90 divided by 100. Okay, if you wanted to go from fraction to percentage, same thing, just multiply it by 100. Okay, very good. So hopefully that's clear now. Let's get straight into our questions. So with this question, we're going to work backwards. So Nathan kept 12 cards and gave the remaining to Lena, which means that Nathan, so if you remember from last video, we want to use letters for names. So Nathan had 12 plus 11 cards. So 12 plus 11, which means he had 23 originally, and half those cards was half of what Iris had before she gave half to Nathan. Okay, so Iris had double this before she gave half of it to Nathan, which means she had 46. So David gave Iris half of his cards, and that was 46, which means our answer is A. Now question 2 is decimals slash percentages. So 0.35 or 35% of a journey is 665 kilometers. Okay, 35% is pretty close to a third, so we're just going to multiply it by 3. Okay, so when we're trying to save time, it's unless we want it exact, and our answers are very close to each other, which in this case they're not, okay, we can make general estimates, and it's usually quite safe and very time-saving to just choose the closest answer. So 35, if we multiply it by 3 to get 100%, it's going to be 5, carry the 1 up, 8, 9, 3 times 6 is 18, sorry, so it should be 1995. That'll be around 100%. So 1995, so how much further has to be traveled after 1638? We can kind of already tell it's going to be E. The other numbers are too big or too small. Okay, but let's just do the maths anyways. So carry 1 over 7, 5, 3. So it's around 2 to 300, which gives us part E. Okay. Question 3, length slash area. We have a rectangle. It's got a perimeter of 60, so let's call the shorter side's x, longer side's y. Perimeter is 2x plus 2y, okay, equals 60. So just x plus y would equal 30, right? So one side plus the longer side would equal 30. And if we multiply them together, we get 224. Now, the only two options that we get that add up to 30 is A and C, otherwise it has to be E. Okay, so let's try out A and C first. So when we multiply them together, the first number we get has to be 4. So when we do 18 times 12, the first number we're going to get is actually 6. So that doesn't work. So 2 times 8 gives us 16. So it's going to be 6, which means that it's not A. So it has to be C or E. So let's see if C works. So 16 times 14. The first number works because it's going to be 4. Okay, let's keep going. 4 times 1 plus 2 is 6. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 1 is 1. Does it work? Yes, it does. So it's C. Now, what's the angle between the hands of a clock at 3:40? So in this question, it was important to realize that it's not just the hour, it's not just the minute hand that moves. It's also the hour hand that moves with it. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 8, 7. So that's all we really need. So our minute or our long hand is at 40, or the 8. Okay, and the hour hand is 2/3 of the way from 3 to 4. So 2/3 of the way. And if you remember what we said, between a 5-minute interval is 30 degrees, which means that 2/3 is 20 degrees. Okay, so 20 degrees. Now, this, if we drew a straight line from here to here, from 3 to 9, it would be 180 degrees. But we're 20 degrees short on this side, and we're 30 degrees short on this side. Okay, so 9 to 8 is 30 degrees, and then 3 to where we're at right now is 20 degrees. So we're 50 degrees short of 180, which means that this angle here should be 130. Now, number line from 4 to 8 is drawn. There's 7 spaces if you count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 spaces. So each space should be so from 4 to 8 is 4 units, but it's divided into 7 spaces. So it's 4 over 7, or 4 divided by 7. So each space is worth 4 over 7. Now, what fraction is x? So it's 2 lots of 4 over 7 less than 8. So it's going to be 8 minus 2 times 4 over 7. So 8 minus 8 over 7. Or 8 minus 1 and 1 over 7, which is going to be, okay, so 8 minus 1 is 7. 7 minus 1 over 7 is 6, and 6 over 7. Okay? That could also be 7 minus 1 on 7. So question 6, if we have one man in one day, he digs a 4x4x5, so that's 16 times 5, which is 80 meters cubed. So that's our volume. How long does it take 3 men to dig? So 3 men equals how long to dig 5x6x8, which is 240 meters cubed. So it's 3 times the volume, but it's also 3 times the number of men. So it's going to take the same amount of time. So it's 3 times the volume, but we have 3 times the number of men. So each man does 80 meters cubed in one day, which means that 3 men in one day will be able to do 240 meters cubed. Now, find the shaded area of the square. Figure out if 1/6 of each side is 3 centimeters. So this is a bad diagram. This is 3 centimeters cubed. So we have 6 of those 3 on each side. So one side equals 18 centimeters, and then area of square should then equal 18 squared. So 18 times 18, 4, 6, 144, 8, 1 gives you 4, 2. So 324 is the area of the square. Now let's find the area of the circles, and then we need to subtract them. So one circle, one circle equals pi r squared. So we have 2 circles in total, right? If we add these together. So pi r squared, so pi times, and then the radius is 3, so pi times 9 equals 9 pi, and then pi is 3.14. So 9 times 3.14. Oops, sorry, we didn't need that. So 9 times 4 is 6, carry the 3. 9 times 1 plus 3 is 12, carry the 1. 9 times 3 is 27, plus 1 is 28.26. Okay? So if we do double that, it's going to be 56.52, because we have 2 circles, not just 1 circle. And then we're going to do 324 minus 56.52. So carry the 1 over, I get twice, so 10 minus 2 is 8, 9 minus 5 is 4, carry 1 over, 13 minus 6 is 7, and then 11 minus 5 is 6, 2 minus 0 is 2, so 267.48. So in these cases where the answers are all very similar, okay, you want to be exact. Question 8, problem solving. So we have a block, it moves onto face B, and then face C, and then ABC again. And we also want to count the face that it's on already. So it's going to be 2 units on its first side, and then it rolls onto the side B, without slipping. So that question was worded a bit weirdly. All it's saying is it doesn't slip, it just moves on to the next face. It just falls flat onto the next face. Pardon me. So it falls onto the 1 times 3 face, which is 3 units, and then rolls onto the 2 by 3 face, which is 6 units. Okay, and then does the same thing all over again. So we're going to multiply it by 2. So 2 plus 3 plus 6 should give you 11 times 2 equals 22. So make sure when you're doing this question, it's inclusive of the starting and ending positions. Okay, so that was an important little bit in that question. We have a rectangular sheet on the next question. It's 8 by 6, and we don't know what these sides are. We need to calculate that. So they give us 2 sides, and we need to find out what the height is after it's folded up. So our volume is 6 times 8 times the height should equal 240. 6 times 8 is 48, times the height equals 240. So if you divide it, our height should have been 5. Okay, if you move it over and divide it, height would have been 5. So what's the original area? So if we elongate each side by 5, this whole length would be 16. If we elongate this side by 5 and 5, whole length would be 18. So make sure you elongate by 2 5s, okay? There's a 5 on each side. So 18 times 16, 6 times 8 is 48. 6 times 1 plus 4 is 10. 1 times 8, 1 times 1, 8, 8, 2. So you should get C. Question 10. So Trisha's watch is a little bit slow, only moves 45 minutes per hour. Okay, so when it should move an hour, it's only moved 45 minutes. So it only moves 3/4 of what it should. Okay, and the real time, so only 3/4 of real time. And so what that means is that the real time is 4/3 times. Okay. Real time is 4/3 times greater than how much time has passed on her watch. Okay, so if we calculate how much time has passed on her watch, it's 2 hours and 45 minutes. Okay, or if we convert that to minutes, it's 165 minutes. The real time that's passed is 4/3 times greater than that. So we're going to multiply it by 4/3, or if you want to expand it out, it's times 4 divided by 3. So 165 times 4 divided by 3. Now we want to do the divided first. We want to have a small number and then multiply it, rather than multiply it first and get a massive number that becomes harder to divide. So 165 divided by 3. Sorry, I'm running out of room a bit. This is bad laying out, but bear with me. Is 55, and then multiply it by 4 equals 220, which equals 3 hours and 40 minutes. So 9:15 plus 3 hours is 12:15, plus 40 minutes is 12:55. Remember, it's PM, okay, because it's past noon now. So that was the last question. Good job for bearing with me, guys. Hopefully that wasn't too bad of a test paper. I thought it was quite okay. Just key points from this test is remember that clocks come in intervals. The whole revolution, one revolution around any point is 360. So if there's 12 intervals, each interval should be 30 degrees. If there's 5 intervals in that one little interval, oopsies. If there's 5 intervals in that one little interval, each little interval should be 6 degrees. And then in terms of conversions from fractions to percentages or decimals, always use that decimal as that middle point, or from fractions to percentages or the other way around. Okay, that'll make it a lot easier. Okay, good job for today, guys. We'll wrap it up here. I will see you all next week or in the next video.